Welcome back to United We Nerd Reviews. Mother Nature tried stopping us multiple times. This time we're saying no. It's been a minute, guys. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
So I know this is a little bit, past the freshness state a little bit, but, we've stuck with the show. We've stuck with the reviews for so long that it would be kind of wrong for us not to finish off the review. So, of course, I'm your host, Brian. With me are my awesome co-host, Joel and Marcelo.
What's up, everybody?
Good evening.
So, guys, I know that it's been a little break. I'm going to pulling back the curtain a little bit. It's been a little break. So I figured that on this episode, we're going to be just diving into episodes 8 and 9. We're going to be going full in. Of course, we're going to focus on one at a time, just so we don't get all over the place. So let's start off with episode 8 of The Last of Us. Joel, before we go into heavy spoilers, what are your thoughts about episode 8?
Did its job, hit hard. I literally will speak spoilers if I go further.
Bursting at the seams. Okay.
Yeah,
right. It's been so long, guys. The weather has really gotten in our way. It's like we haven't been able to, and today is kind of sketch because of the weather. So we're just doing everything we can.
Yeah, no joke. Like we've gone through power surges almost all day. It's kind of what California is getting rocked right now. So, Marcelo, did you have any non-spoilery things to add, or do you just want to go straight in?
You know what? I mean, everything that we'll talk about episode 8, for me, as far as how I felt, was all spoilery anyways. It was a great episode. Ton of fun. I mean, not fun because it was pretty dark, but definitely a good penultimate episode, I think, for season 1 of The Last of Us. We definitely got to see some really twisted type of behavior going on, and yeah, I mean that's all I can say before getting into spoilers.
All right. Well, in that case, guys, let's just go full in to spoiler territory. If for some reason you haven't seen episode 8 of Last of Us, stop now, come back later, because we are about to talk a whole lot of spoilers. Man. So, is it fair to say to you guys that this has been the one episode that the majority of us have been kind of waiting to see? Like this is one of the big plot points of at least part 1 of The Last of Us. We finally get to see David and his cult.
They're cult for me. That gave me the icks. Like this is the only one that I came out of, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. There's something's not right here. Like I was the whole time. I was like, oh god, like
Boy.
If this is how this man was talking about before time, then there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. It definitely, we've gotten a lot of extra information throughout the season, and to kind of see, like, pulling back the curtain a little bit more on David's like kind of group of people, and like how he kind of rules, I guess is the only way to kind of say, like, he's a math teacher. He was a math teacher turned priest. Okay.
That was what I meant. Like that's what the ick factor was for me, right? Like you were just like the whole time, like, oh no, guys.
Yeah. So, Joel, since, like you said before, you're the one that's played it the most recently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
What a
think
ride.
do you think that this David way outperforms the David in the game?
Uh, yes and no. Like, one definitely felt creepier for sure, and like Marcelo's saying, like ick factor. The other one I felt was like definitely like just I don't know. For the game, I felt like he was straight up evil, and this one is like, yeah, like it just left this
Right.
gross feel. Like, I mean, for reasons we'll probably talk about later that might be triggering for some people, but yeah, just they handle it differently, but still, it's like a Venn diagram. There's definitely some crossover for sure, and yeah, just the whole like these people are like his thralls. He has control over them even more. Like the manipulative nature, I think, adds to it too, and
Mhm.
just a little more clandestine about what they're doing too. I think in the game they're more straightforward about like, hey, we eat people, but this one's like,
This
do
was
we?
very
Maybe.
subtle,
Yeah. So in some
but
instances, at least.
definitely in the beginning, right? Like, hey, where's my dad? Oh, you know,
Yeah.
I was
we
like we
know. We
we
know where
know,
your dad is.
yeah, we know.
We know.
What's this? It's
Venison,
venison.
Yeah.
right?
It's like, oh.
Maybe that's what gave me the icks. Is just maybe the thought. Well, I should hope for anybody out there except Army Hammer, the thought of cannibalism is like, like a no.
You said it. Not
I didn't say
Floodgates are
anything.
open.
But like I just don't think like maybe that's the natural reaction to feel kind of grossed out about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess for us knowing like the kind of the situation is just kind of seeing, you know, it's like seeing like them try to like not hide it, but like slowly build up to like the reveal of like, oh my god, they're cannibals. And oh my god,
Yeah.
he's a pedophile. God
Yeah.
Well, it's so
damn.
funny because Ellie is not stupid. She
Oh
was like
no.
looking around. She called it out so quick.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And of course,
Incredibly astute.
you know, you assume that most of the people there don't realize that they're eating people, let alone their own people. Um,
Mhm.
but there is like the select few people that are kind of like maybe not in David's circle, but are kind of like right underneath him. One of them being Troy Baker, the video game voice of
Mhm.
Right,
Joel,
right.
Yep.
who played very interesting version uh of James. Because in the video game, he wasn't really much of a character,
Mm-mm.
and so they really kind of gave him a little bit of extra footing, just as far as like how in the opening episode, like when everybody's leaving after David's little service, and then he stays behind, and of course the way they talk is so different to each other, where it's
I
like,
mean, I'm curious to see how many people were involved in it, just because I mean, somebody had to be there to prep that food, right? Like somebody was responsible for that.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like his inner circle like knows and like does the dirty work.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so like when the guy comes out with like that bowl of meat and he's just like, it's venison.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm assuming maybe like some other people might like get clued in. Um, but it's just one of those things where it's like it's not too hard to believe that you just have one person that can be so enigmatic to be able to just have all these people do what he says.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I want to get your guys' opinion. Do you think they did a good job of kind of like slowly showing like who David really is throughout the episode? Because they showed us like little like snippets at a time, just like him slowly kind of like pulling like the mask off
Hmm.
and like actually seeing like the monster he actually is.
Yeah, the unraveling.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially with like when he hit the kid at the table, kind of like talking back or speaking up. That was like eye opening. I was like, oh, And then, like, people are like, but no one said like, hey, don't do that. They're like, well, I guess he takes care of us.
with the
Let him
mom
fucking hit the
sitting
kid.
right there.
Right? So I was like,
And not only that,
Hmm.
not only hitting the kid, but then afterwards, like putting a hand out to help her back up.
I know.
Like
I was
it's such like the most like disgusting power move that you could do.
Yeah, I mean,
whiplash.
it started off so subtle, right? And then it got progressively creepier and creepier and creepier,
Mhm.
So it was a really crazy like escalation, right? Like especially like, well, obviously like when he's talking to her like in the jail cell and he's like preaching out his hand, and I was like, "Oh boy. Like this is not right. Like this is getting kind of pedo-y, like,
Found my equal.
it's like, come on.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's like you just such a good job. I want to get the actors. Scott Shepherd, who played David, just did such a good job of being just a fucking disgusting human being.
Yep.
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to talk about Joel's side of this episode. So of course, where he's kind of left off is that he's still healing. Ellie finally got um, Joel in a safe-ish enough space, but he's still kind of fucked up. And of course, they're running out of food, so Ellie has to go out and hunt. And I actually kind of like that they gave a wink and a nod to the rabbit scene
Hmm.
in the video game where they don't kill the rabbit, but it's there.
Mhm.
But of course, Ellie runs into David and James, and they're out hunting. And what was interesting is that instead of having them being attacked by infected, they have this nice calm scene of just David and Ellie talking.
Like just a conversation.
Just a conversation while James is going off to getting some medicine that they have, so that Ellie could take it to Joel. They're
Hmm.
just having this conversation, and then that's the moment you can see David being that charismatic person that he is, because you could tell that from the beginning of the scene, Ellie is like very on her guard and like trying to like be a it's kind of like trying to scare a bear. Like she's trying to be like show off like being big and like tough and stuff. But the
Hmm.
more and more that he's talking to her, like the more she kind of you kind of see her just like let down her guard a little bit, and she's like starting to like really pay attention to what he's saying until she finds out just a fucking switch of
Looks like this guy is
this
freaking
guy.
crazy.
Well, not just crazy, but he knows that they killed one of his guys
Right.
when they were at the university, and it's just like, oh shit, because
That
usually,
realization.
yeah,
Yeah.
because usually
Everything happens for a reason.
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But then Ellie gets the medicine to Joel, and so Joel is, that's another thing. What you guys think? I don't know about you guys, but does penicillin work that way? You just jab it wherever. Like,
I'm no doctor, but I would say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It's all fiction. It's all fiction.
It's definitely
And
more than just one dosage,
Yeah, and healing factor going up as soon as it's in. You got to suspend your belief, of course. But I was just like, damn, he's ready. Some video game healing right there.
But
Right? That's what that was it. Hey, you know what? She did. She tried.
he tried. But for Joel, what a vicious, like an understatement of just like those scenes of him like fending off David's men.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
We do get
yeah.
I totally forgot about that we get to see him like interrogate like people from
Yeah.
his crew.
Bro, not only
Just like in
that,
the game too.
not only that, but like sneak into the shadows and like strangle a dude to death.
That's right.
And, like
While
stabs him.
still
like in the
being like
game.
gravely injured.
Yeah.
Right.
And then to have that guy like smile at him as he's dying.
That
That's
was
fucking
insane.
wild. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about that interrogation scene real quick. Did you guys expect it to be that violent? Like,
No, not at all.
Honestly, when it happened, because it happens in the game, right?
yeah.
I didn't remember it happening in the game. When it happened in the game, I was like, holy fuck. And it's like, oh shit, I know what this is. I was like, they're
Yeah.
doing it. And it was like, oh fuck. And I forget, he doesn't give a shit. He just literally just nails them there. You know, I was like, oh my god. And then just for me, it's like the descent downward for Joel. Like, I get he makes his choices, but I'm just like, oh god.
Boy, when we get to the episode after this and we talk
I
about
know.
I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
But
yeah,
like,
but the whole like how do you know he wasn't lying? He's like, I know you're gonna tell the truth. And he's like, he does the thing again, makes the guy put the knife in his mouth and makes him show him. I was like, god damn it.
he just wanted to do it.
Like, he
Yeah.
just his like just how brutal he is insane. Like, when you get to see like his true like rabid form of a person, like especially for like the people he loves, because you know, at this point he like Ellie is his daughter, right? At this point, and it's like, hell no, like this is, you know, I am protecting this person.
He needs to find. He needs to fucking find these people. Yeah, it was just like, I knew they did in the game, but it was just wild to actually have him go all the way.
Yep.
And just get out of where. But also Ellie gets some action too.
Boy, does she.
When they threatened to kill her and chop her up, right? She fucking finds out a way just to kind of get the upper hand for a second and be like, it's like, no, I'm infected. And then it was just a split second, and she just fucking grabs the fucking hatchet, fucking chops right into
your
James.
knife. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Ellie
was
kills
crazy.
Joel. Yep.
So they showed off how they did that effect. Or Troy Baker talked about it. And what they did was they had a prosthetic that was like the wound. And then inside of it, there was this little strip of like, there's like a magnetic piece to it. And so when Bella has the hatchet, the other end is like the other magnetic piece. And so when the hatchet goes into it, it like sticks there. And so that's all practical. And so it's just like a nice like shink, and then it just sticks there, and then he falls over and bleeds out, and they have like a little like
hose,
little hose that shoots blood out. I was like, oh, that's sick.
I mean, that was a pretty brutal scene too. Like,
oh yeah,
that was a way to go for sure. It was very like, I kind of because we're at this point in the story where like everything's just happening, like things are just happening, so there's like no time to get to know like characters or whatever. They're like, you're either here or you're dead. Like, there's no in between right now.
We spent too much time in Kansas City. We need to fucking get through this shit quick.
Like, we're in the end game now, folks.
Yeah, they're rushing in the end.
So that of course leads to the big confrontations between Ellie and David. Boy, did I start getting some like flashbacks of playing the game, because I don't know about you, Joel, but that like, I wouldn't even say a fight. It was like the interaction was so difficult for me for some reason. I had the hardest time like confronting David in the game.
It's like a hard. It's really just kind of a hard interaction and fight, because like you have to get like 3 or 4 hits in him, but he's like a 1-hit KO, and like you also have to sneak. So you can't run and gun, which as Joel I did a lot. I mean, like you got all these weapons, so you got to really think about it, and it's tough too, because the way they make David move around, it's not a straightforward path. He kind of follows you too. It's tough, but
So is it like
yeah,
it's a sneaking mission then?
Well, it's
sorta,
like a
yeah.
sneaking fight
Yeah.
because he's actively looking for you, right?
Yeah.
But then because you're Ellie, he can take you out so easily. So it's literally like you have to like plan your movements carefully. And then of course, like how The Last of Us is, there's like stuff on the ground where if you make noises, it alerts him to your location.
Yeah.
So you really have to like pay attention. And of course, at this time, the whole place is on fire as well.
Yeah. And so can you take fire damage and stuff?
It's one of those things where it just creates the tension because it's like the place is on
the
fire
atmosphere.
and it makes you like panic, and it's kind of like counteractive to what you have to do. And I feel like they did it really well in this. Like they kind of showed that, you know, the place is on fire, there's like limited time, and of course, you know, Ellie has to figure out a way to either, you know, take out David or just at least get past him enough to like escape. Now the interesting thing that they decided to do for the show is that they did not have Joel come to the rescue. Ellie had to sit in that moment and just do what she has to do, and it felt so like surreal. And I know it's probably because, you know, they wanted to give Ellie like this one like big moment, because there's been like small things throughout the season, but like this was like her like holy shit moment.
Yeah.
Where, you know, of course she finds what was like it was like the hatchet or the knife.
Yeah, the knife.
And just,
it was the
you
knife.
know, takes down David and just starts fucking
going crazy on him.
Yeah,
and
wailing on him.
And it like lasts. It's not one of those things. It wasn't one of those things where it was just like, you know, like one or two hits and like cuts away. It was like she was like fucking going in. And what's wild is that even after that point, Joel didn't come in. It's like you see Ellie like walking out of that, like out of the with like the restaurant thing, like out of her own volition. So we can only think about how long she was in there for, and like how long she was doing that for. There's no telling like how long she was just like sitting there in that moment, just like on her own, just kind of like, you know, processing it. And of course, when you see her walk out, and then Joel kind of surprises her, and she starts like, you know, fucking panicking again. But then when she sees it's Joel, it's like she can't even speak. Like she's just rambling.
It's really just shock at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? How do you react to that?
Like that.
Like, exactly. Well, I guess, yeah, exactly.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's definitely
one of trauma.
Oh, for sure. Like this is the moment where Ellie changes forever.
This is definitely the glimpse of part 2 Ellie, right? Where it's just like her, you know, with everything.
The small amount of childhood she had left in that moment. Like she's no longer a child.
I mean, she was left to fend for herself. She didn't know she didn't know Joel was coming for her. So it's like, what do you do, right? You just fight. Like, you have no choice. This is what you're going to do. Yeah, I mean, and then just that moment of like, she walks outside and sees Joel, and it's like, holy shit, like, you're okay. And it's like this huge emotional moment between the two. And he calls her baby girl, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, whoa.
I got you, baby girl.
I was like, oh man, this is.
So that's the moment. That's the moment when that relationship is at its like, you know, full connection. You know, that's Joel is treating her like a daughter.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a really good episode. You know, that episode definitely had a ton of good action scenes, a lot of really good scenes like that and stuff like that. Uh I don't yeah, I mean, I really liked the next episode but just a little bit more. There's just something about this about episode 9
Mm-hmm.
that was just
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is
Well, I mean, it's the episode that we've literally been waiting for all season.
right because we knew what
I know I
we knew
have,
what would
yeah.
happen.
Um, but I guess before we start diving into that, really, was there anything that we didn't pick up on for episode 8 that you guys wanted to bring up at this moment in time?
No, I think that episode was pretty well contained. I mean, there wasn't a lot of set pieces going on. It was just like Ellie and the cult.
Mm-hmm.
Um so okay, so I guess here's my question for you guys. I don't know if you guys know, but like she burns the place down, but what happens to everybody else in the town? Do they just keep living? Like, do you guys happen to know?
Um, so I want to hear your guess because I have at least some not idea, but I have some insider knowledge about what possibly could happen.
You do? Okay, that's exciting.
Well, I'm guessing they, they don't really have a home. It's going to set them apart and probably have them either turn on each other or they just start like this giant chain of revenge, right? So, like, hey, she fucked up our people. Let's go find her people. It's going to start this fucking tornado of like death that, started with David, honestly, but like
Mhm.
it's just going to be relentless, ongoing swirl of torment, So, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'll see maybe in part 2 or season 2, season 3. I don't know, but that's my guess.
So this isn't like a confirmation, but at least according to, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, like after like that point, it's either like if you put yourself in the perspective of the people just in the town, like they've been running low on food for forever, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's been a harsh winter. Everybody is, freezing at this point. And so the possibilities, at least for like this situation, either people ran away, like when stuff started going down, people ran away, or people stayed inside because they want to try to keep warm and like
Yeah,
just
it was just
survive.
interesting to me because like nobody's coming to help them, right? Like
Yeah. Because like in the game, most of the people are too busy trying to like find and kill Joel
Yep.
as he's walking up to the resort, So it's just interesting that they've been able to find ways to, kind of side like skirt aside just kind of like certain aspects of what we saw in the game, but then also at the same time, it's not like a big deal. It's just one of those things where like we like think about it for a second. It's like, oh yeah, what happened about that? And like at the moment, we weren't really thinking too hard about it, just because there was still so much going on. You know,
it was just me who was like, "What are the townsfolk doing right now? Like
it's like what?
cafeteria or whatever's
It's
on
like what are they
What the
thinking
fire,
town
about?
doing? What the town doing?
or are they like, oh my god, he's dead? Thank the heavens, like we
This
can
was a
live a
Probably a
normal
sign.
mix.
life."
Honestly, that girl probably prayed for his ass to get clapped.
That's what
Honestly.
it felt like to me, and that's why I was asking because it really did feel like that to me.
The prayers have been answered.
Right. I hope he dies. Lo and behold.
Ask and ye shall receive.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Oh, with that being
We made it,
said,
guys. We made it.
we made it to the finale. Oh boy. Okay, so
Say that again.
what? How do we start this? Like, well, here, how about this? Let's just start from the beginning, right? So after a few episodes of not getting like flashbacks or any of that kind of like, expanding the world kind of stuff, we start with somebody running through a field, right?
Mhm.
Being chased by an infected, and then it turns out that it is Ellie's mom, right? Who is being played by Ashley Johnson, who is the voice of Ellie in the video game, which is really cool. Because
I love that they did that. I love that
Mhm.
they brought in all of these characters, all of these voice actors, and they all did a really good job. Like I thought Troy Baker was great.
oh yeah, they've all been doing a fantastic job, and it just kind of shows the
Oh,
like
isn't Marlene also the voice actor?
yeah,
Yes.
Marlene is
Oh,
the same
right,
person.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
like, dang, that's intense.
Yeah,
That's so good.
and then the voice actor for Tommy was one of the Kansas people.
Oh, that's right. He's the yep. Man,
So
that's so cool. I liked it. I love that. So
hey, I mean they're all good actors in their own right, So
Mhm.
it's nice that they all kind of seem like the whole production seems like they're like a tight knit group,
Mhm.
you know. Um, but yeah, so it was kind of cool to actually see Ashley Johnson playing the role of Ellie's mom. In a way, it is like a symbol that like symbolizes like the passing down of a character
Definitely.
in a sort of way, because you see, you know, Ellie's mom is obviously pregnant with Ellie as she's trying to run for safety, and she runs into the safe house. It's a Firefly safe house, and like she's rushing through trying to barricade the doors and try to like get to safety, but the infected is still coming through, and she starts going to labor, and it's happening, but the infected is still coming, and so
Mhm.
the infected eventually breaks down the door. you know Ellie's mom is trying to push back at the infected. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this character's name so I can't stop saying Ellie's mom. So Anna starts defending herself. The infected start to keep kind of check, and then you see her grab the knife that we've come to know from Ellie,
Mhm.
and then kill him. Um, what an epidural to have an infected fucking hit you, because during that moment in time, Ellie is born. She
it's
is
happening.
there.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah,
happened. It
Yeah.
happened.
that adrenaline will do it for you, man.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. And then of course, Anna realizes that oh shit, she got infected. And so in a way, this could be the explanation of how Ellie is immune. Is that her
Hmm.
mom got infected and while she's being born and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And that was just like the the prologue, you know.
Mhm.
Um and of course, after the intro, we go back to that moment in time.
Was this moment something that was in the game, or was this specifically for the show?
No.
Not at
Okay,
all.
okay,
You
okay.
Uh-uh.
Up until this point, we've never seen her mom. Her mom has only been mentioned
Yeah,
in
hinted at in
passing,
an audio recording. That's it.
but this is the first time we've seen Ellie's mom in any media.
Yeah, I mean, what I really liked about this episode is this whole episode is about choice, right? It's like the choices people make for Ellie. Like Marlene's choice to drop, to after she promised Anna, like,
Mhm.
oh, I'll take care of her, whatever, and then to drop her off with the Fedra and just be like,
Well,
this isn't my problem, kind of thing. Then,
Yeah.
but remember when they're all when they're both talking to each other, and Anna's like being like, okay, it's like this is Ellie. It's like, make sure you give this knife to her, and like she asked Marlene, it's like, find her somebody that'll keep her safe.
mm-hmm.
She doesn't specifically say Marlene, keep her safe,
Okay,
because it's kind of under assumption that Anna knows, like, you're not gonna take you're not gonna, you're too fucking busy being a leader of a fucking rebel group to fucking take care of my daughter.
right,
Um,
okay. I guess all
but
right. Well, that makes sense then.
you have a point where this whole episode, actually, now that I think about it, you're pretty on the nose. Like, this whole episode is people making choices for Ellie,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, even though it's like not of her own like power,
Right.
all like a lot of the bad situations in her life have been out of her power.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, and this is jumping. Well, I guess, this is all that really happens in this episode, right? It's like, here's the choice. Marlene and the Fireflies make the decision for Ellie to say, all right, you're gonna go under, and we're gonna get we're gonna find a way to get blood or whatever, and we're gonna find a cure. And they don't tell her that she will die in the process, right? And
That's a
then
big fucking change too.
right, and then on the other hand, Joel makes the decision to, big spoilers for the end, of course. I know we're already in that, but like, to kill everybody in the hospital because
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want Ellie. He doesn't want Ellie to die because he wants to protect her and
Mm-hmm.
essentially not keep her for himself, but to, not, he's protecting her. He's protecting his daughter, right? But he didn't give that choice to Ellie to be like, is this what you want to do? But nobody did.
Yeah.
And then he made the choice to lie to her about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm on the theory, and
Okay.
and I think this has already been proven in like letters and stuff in the game, but there's no way that they would have come up with a cure. I don't think that she was the solution. Like, I don't think that the Fireflies had the resources to distribute, to test this. I just think it was just like a doctor who like was on his ego, who said, yeah, I can make a cure or whatever. But like I said, I think there was some like notes or letters or something in part 1 or part 2 that confirm that, but maybe I might be wrong. I don't know.
I like your approach, Marcelo. I was talking about it with my parents actually, and it's not a guarantee that they would find a cure. Like,
Right.
they actually up to date on their medical history, and like, did they have the resources? Will they be successful? Even
Like,
if they did extract the cordyceps, right? Like, did they do a good job? Like,
well, I think the way would take it, it's essentially a terrorist group saying, hey, we have a cure for you. Like, why
yeah,
would
yeah,
Fedra even listen to that?
yeah, yeah,
Like, hey, here's this cure, but you guys are a bunch of, what we consider to be, extremists. So fuck
yeah,
you.
Hmm.
yeah.
That's just
It's too
that's like
many.
how I feel it would have been approached.
Yeah, it's too many variables. Honestly, it's a lot of maybe with someone dying. That's what it was.
Hmm. And I think that's why this whole ending is so controversial. Well, not controversial, but there's so much dialogue to be had for this ending, because depending on who you are, you could look at this so many different ways and have come up to
Mhm.
so many different conclusions, just based off of that ending alone, like not even like thinking about part 2 at all. um but like, if you just boil it down to like the most bare bones like way you could do this, it's like Joel had a choice. You either choose the life of Ellie, or you choose the life, or the possible lives of like humanity,
Right.
and it shows his decision, of course, is going to be, you know, the person that he now sees as a daughter.
Yeah, it's a selfish thing, right? It's like
It's all
it's a definitely a selfish choice, but it's like
Yeah.
it's like that's my daughter. Of course. I mean, listen, as a father, I would have done the same thing. Seriously. I would have done the same thing. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Like, yes, it's the chance to save humanity, but it's like, all right, well, why don't you find somebody else to do this? Like, I'm sure there's somebody else out there that's immune. You know, that was my whole thought process with all of this. And so like I totally
you
agreed with
you were pretty
Joel.
much Joel in that
Yeah, I was.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put myself in his shoes. Like, yeah, fuck that. Like, no, like that's my daughter. Like, you're not touching my daughter. You know, and
Mhm.
it was that whole conversation between Marlene and Joel at the end about her choice. But it's like
Yeah.
neither of you two gave her a choice. You
No.
guys made decisions for her.
See,
Shot for shot recreation too. I was just like,
So
see,
good,
it just
right?
hit so hard still. It's like, God damn it. Everything about it.
See, here's the thing though. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was pointed out to me later. The only real difference in this whole like finale, or this whole like end portion of the episode, in the game, when Joel and Ellie are being attacked by that group of people, they both get knocked out.
Mhm.
And they literally take Ellie straight to the operating room.
Mm.
And like they tell Joel, and like they, you know, everything else happens. But in this, they get attacked. Joel gets knocked out, but Ellie doesn't. And then what they do is that they tell Ellie, is like, we're gonna run some tests, we're gonna put you under, and that'll be it. They don't tell her that, hey, you're probably gonna die from this. They
Probably it's like a certainty that she's
Yeah.
gonna die
they
from this
purposely
Yeah.
they purposely hide that information from Ellie before putting her under.
yeah, absolutely.
And that
they
makes
do.
the biggest difference compared to the
Mhm.
game, because they are like taking all, like we were just talking about just before, like they're taking all of the power away from Ellie. Like they both are, like to an extent they both are, because, you know, like we said, this is such the most interesting piece of conversation about this whole like game and like show, is that you could see both sides of the argument, and wherever you lie is wherever you lie. But at the same time, both of them are just as much at fault.
Oh
Because
yeah, I totally agree with you.
yeah, it's just because like, yeah, like obviously like Joel's gonna choose that decision, because of course he is, you know, it would be weird if he didn't. But at the same time, like we see how it ends, how the episode ends, you know, because of course, you know, Joel starts, you know, working his way back up the building, you know, taking up everybody's seat. And what a scene that was. Like, this is the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too. Holy shit. What a... The only way I can explain it is just a wonderfully sad scene.
It was definitely a no mercy. Like,
Yeah.
like you could have been like people were surrendering. He was like, nope.
But like
one guy made one guy.
one guy.
Let one guy go.
Kind of.
Really quick before we keep talking about the hospital, can we just talk about just really quick about the giraffe and how like the internet
Oh my
lost
God,
its
yes.
mind thinking that the giraffe was fake, and it's like, nope, behind the scenes, here's a real giraffe for you.
It was a real giraffe.
But we're
They
so
went to-
conditioned. We're so conditioned for CGI that we just assume it's digital.
No.
I thought it was CGI when we were doing our live watch along. I was like, oh, that looks amazing. Like, that's a good
yeah,
looking
we were
giraffe.
having...
I did too. I was like, wow, technology's getting really good.
Right? Shit.
it just shows that we've gone too far. We've gone too far in technology where we're
AI
questioning
generated
real life.
giraffe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
simulation is breaking.
Where it just turned out everything around the giraffe was fake.
yeah.
Um,
I wanted to talk to you guys really quick. So, what wasn't in the game was also Joel talks to Ellie about his scar. They have a little quick
yeah.
aside, and he just basically confesses he almost killed himself. And it's a powerful moment because he's like, well, because I didn't do that, I'm here for you. And it just, again, their connection is just super strong now. And
Hmm.
I didn't think we were gonna get that. Honestly, it's like, oh, why they're just gonna have a nice chat. I was like, oh fuck, they just dropped the fucking bomb on us right there. Holy
Yeah,
shit! I
that's
was
right.
like,
Yeah, and even at the very end, Ellie opens up about Riley.
yeah, yeah,
So that, from what I believe, it still happens in the game.
Hmm.
it does.
I think in the game she kind of goes into a little bit more detail than she did in the show. Um, but to go back on Joel, I think that's what, like, Pedro's like whole performance as Joel is very interesting because it's very good, but it's also different because like he's brought so much emotion to Joel
Mhm.
that I don't say we didn't get in the game, but we got in a different way. Like the way they
We got
shot,
wrath. Honestly, we got like anger. We got that kind of emotion. We didn't get like a soft, vulnerable Joel.
like a
Joel shows
broken Joel.
vulnerability. We got a broken Joel for sure, but yeah, this Joel we can kind of see how he could heal and won't. Well, the other one is like I'm healing through my anger and my. Is he even healing? Like I don't know, but that's what I thought I saw.
Um, so one of the criticisms I've kind of seen about the show is that um what kind of some points feel weaker than others just because how the game relies on a lot of action and a lot of like fighting, whether it's fighting off infected or fighting off raiders or stuff like that. Some people feel that the emotional connection isn't all the way there for them, or just
Hmm.
like them and like personally. I honestly disagree. Um, but I think it's mostly because they've done so well of doing these emotional scenes that we get to see them in a different way, not so much a different way, but we get to see them kind of process these same similar events in a way that we never could see in the game just because we need that action to kind of push the game forward.
Yeah,
um
there was a lot of complaints that I saw too that were like there wasn't enough infected, there wasn't enough of this, like there wasn't enough action pieces. But I don't, the way I think this was written was more about the character development and like that story versus like let's go out and kill a bunch of infected and stuff like that, which yeah,
Hmm.
it's great to see, but I feel like it would have gotten really old really fast. Like
it would have been like The
if we
Walking
would have
Dead.
kept seeing it,
Exactly.
like the bits and pieces that we got made it a lot more terrifying, a lot, it was a lot more suspenseful than if it was like every episode like let's run away from 100 infected and kill a bunch of stuff. Like I feel like that has gotten really old. And
Mhm.
so like I
Hmm.
personally prefer a better dramatic piece with like a lot more character development and stuff like that. I don't necessarily need like 45 minutes of action and 10 minutes of character development. We'd get nowhere, with that kind
Oh
of
yeah.
stuff. So I don't know. I thought this was really great. I thought this was a super strong, definitely the best adaptation of a video game that we've ever had. Um, and and I love that HBO and all the producers gave like Neil Druckmann, and they gave him all of the creative like liberty to like really own this
Mhm.
Hmm.
and be able, and they took his opinion seriously. Like they like whatever opinions he might have had behind the scenes, that like it was weighed against what would play for television versus what was in the game. And I just think they made really great decisions. I don't think that, I don't think that there was anything that I'm totally unhappy with,
Mm-hmm. It's a perfect storm of, creative minds coming together and like, working together in unison to create to actually create like a good adaptation of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sets the level high for any future projects, right? Like that's what you
God,
want depending on.
just on like doing part 2 alone is gonna be an undertaking. It's like part 2 is so much bigger than part 1.
Yeah, and I think they're saying part 2 they want to do 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're right now they're only confirmed for season 2, but they're really looking for like a 2-season thing for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get back to the hallway thing again because we only mentioned it a little bit, but like, boy, the the rendition of the theme song in like that slower, sad pitch, and then having all the action kind of muffled as Joel just turns into like the fucking Terminator, and he's like going
He's like
through
hyper focused.
Yeah.
hyper focused, just blank faced, you know, going through. People are running away. He's popping them. People are crawling on the ground. He's fucking capping them off and just working his way through. And and then when he gets to the operating room, and he just doesn't think twice and like caps the doctor.
I did the same thing.
Like, nope.
And then
Here you go.
of course
Diablo.
having the nurses unhook Ellie and then kind of like step back.
Oh, Abby?
No.
No.
They confirmed that like Abby was not in this episode at all.
Wasn't but the nurse, one of the nurses was the voice actor that played Abby, wasn't it?
So yeah, that's the little Easter egg I was actually about to mention. Laura Bailey was one of the nurses with the mask on. She was the one that was hiding behind the table. But a double fun fact is that apparently, when they were making the first game, they asked her to play a bit role, and she played one of the nurses.
Oh, sweet.
So she pretty much got to play her bit role for part 1.
Nice.
And then that led her to being casted as Abby in part 2 because they liked her performance so much. Which, why wouldn't you? Because it's Laura Bailey, one of the fucking best voice actors around.
And then, so, all right. So he pops the doctor, takes Ellie, and then they get to the garage.
Cold-blooded.
And that conversation with Marlene was crazy, where she was like, "Oh, just bring her back. It's okay. Like we can still fix this or whatever." Damn well the minute that he put his guard down that they were gonna kill him, right?
Oh yeah.
And
just murked like 50 people.
I really enjoyed how they played this scene out, right? Because all of a sudden it cuts to him in the car with Ellie waking up, and he was like, "Hey, is everything good?" He's like, "Yeah, we're headed back to Wyoming." And it cuts back to like, "Hey, how's Marlene?" or whatever. Oh no, because he says that they were attacked, right? They were a bunch of infected.
Attacked by raiders.
Yeah.
Did some tests. They were attacked by raiders.
Yeah.
Dude, that scene was crazy to me. Like let me show you killing Marlene while I'm telling you, like, nah, she's good.
Yeah,
she's good.
Just building on the lie.
Just straight from the game. And I mean, you could tell Ellie right away is like, it doesn't add up, which I like. That nuance is there. It's like,
too
I
smart.
don't know. But he's like, yeah, sure, believe this. But
like there was dozens of other people that were immune. Like, you're not the first. Like, you're good.
Yeah.
Like there's hope.
And she didn't see them on the way in. Come on, Joel.
Yeah, that lie was crazy because she calls and she picks up on it so quick, and like they're walking through, they're on a hike, and she's like, are you really, are you actually telling the truth? And it definitely sets up part 2 really well.
And like oh god, the ending the exact same way
Mm-hmm.
when he's like Joel's like, I'm sure, and then
Black.
you just see the look on Ellie's face, and you know that she's like, man, why are you lying to me?
Right.
And it's like she just has that like looking at Joel, it just has that staring off into distance, just being like, I can't, like, all right, you're lying to me, but we're here. Just fucking cuts.
Black. I was like,
Ah,
oh fuck, like that's a way. That's a good emotional ending right there.
Yeah.
man,
Felt the same way when I first saw that playthrough. I was like, "Oh, Joel, you piece of shit!" And then boom, credits. Joel, you piece of shit. God damn it.
Dude, part 2 is so long. Like
it's
you
very
have a lot to
long.
get through.
I just want to. I'm just curious how they're going to tell the story, because I know they're going to probably have to change it a little bit, but like I don't want to like give away
It would
like.
be it would be cool if they did. Well, damn it, Joel hasn't played the game.
I know just a little bit.
I know, but I don't
I
want
just
to
know.
I don't want to talk about like the mechanics of the game or anything.
I just want to say like, I, without spoiling anything, the way they tell the story for part two, I feel like would be very hard to mimic it exactly for a show. I feel like
Yeah,
they're gonna have to alter the way they tell the story to make it
like
work.
I think it needs to be split, if you know what I mean, Brian. Like one season needs to be this, and then the other season needs to be this, and at the end of season 2, it all needs to kind of culminate together or something. Like I don't.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that at all. I
Oh,
I was thinking the opposite actually.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, 'cause, yeah, is there's just so much to get through for part two. Like them are all wow, tongue tied. Holy shit. Them already like saying that they want to have this be at least 2 seasons minimum makes me feel good, because they at least it shows that they know that this story needs more time than part one does.
Don't want a Game of
Yeah.
Thrones it.
Oh no. And it's actually funny. I think in the HBO podcast, they actually like mentioned that. It's like, yeah, it's like we saw what happened with Game of Thrones. Like we don't want to like fuck this up. It's like good.
I love
They
that.
learn. HBO's learned. Thank you.
Thank you, HBO. Just want
Even
to
though
ask you
even though it
guys
wasn't their fault.
before we kind of head to the end. Just ask this first question. Do you think Joel is a good guy? I mean, it's obvious, I think, kind of in some ways, and then not. But you also can answer this if you're watching this late or replay or listening. Let us know. But is Joel a good guy?
Marcelo, I'll let you go first.
No. No, no. He I don't know if it's that I think the hospital scene, was a pretty good definition of overkill. Like I understand totally that what would have happened is, all right, I kill a couple people, I get out, they're gonna come chase after him, right? Like they're gonna come after him no matter what. So of course you're gonna leave as little as possible to come and chase you, but can you really be redeemed for all the shit that you've done up to that point? Like all the people that you might have hurt innocently. Uh, his decision to save Ellie was a selfish decision. Of course, like I said, I would have made the same decision, but he removed that choice from her, because if she would have been like, okay, cool, well maybe well I will die, but maybe there's a chance, like I guess like I said, like we had been talking about this whole episode, she didn't get that choice, and Joel definitely didn't give her the choice and also lied to her
Mm-hmm.
about it, because we knew how she would have reacted, because she would have said, well fuck it, I would have done it anyways, like we know her character. She's willing to do the right thing. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a good person. I think he cares about his daughter, and I think he'll do anything to protect his daughter, but I would too, but I'm not out there, you know, killing. tons of people for it. I don't know. That's kind of maybe just my short-sighted kind of opinion right now about it.
It's tricky because I guess putting in perspective of the world they live in, you know, how
He's
easy
not the worst guy in the world.
he's not the worst guy in the world, but like how hard is it to actually be a good person in this world where you have to worry about like, do you have the means to survive? Are you protected? Are you safe? Do you have the supplies you need? Like how much in danger are you at every second of the day? Um, in I don't want to say that he's a terrible person. He's not a terrible person. Is he a good person? I guess it depends on the situation. Um, but I will say that he's a well-intentioned person that has made bad decisions.
Okay.
There,
Yeah, I can see it from that perspective a lot, actually. That makes sense. I mean, he's doing things that are going to be convenient for him in the moment. Like, and again, you're just trying to survive at this point.
mm-hmm,
And I'm sure, he's already he's always been kind of hesitant to trust people because, I mean, even now, people do stupid shit in situations like this, right? So it's like, you kind of have to do what you need to do to survive.
yeah.
So, yeah.
It goes back to the same like duality of like the situation where it's like the Fireflies, what they want to do, seems like a good idea. It's like, hey, we want things that we want to fix things and make it go back to, how it was where people had more of a say, and instead of having like this, military like dictatorship in a sense. Um, but at the same time, their method of by any means necessary, isn't great because look what happened. They were about to, kill somebody on the random chance that a cure
There
was
could
going to
be a
be
cure.
made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
You know,
Maybe.
in like the bare bones like argument is like they were going to make a cure. Now people can like start reading into it more. It's like, okay, well, how, like, hey, everybody has everybody's opinions on like the situation is valid. However, I will say the people like, I'm not trying to pick on some of these people, but the people that bring into the argument that scientifically this would never be possible, you guys have boring ass arguments for a fictional world. It's like, you guys have they are valid. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's always cool to learn about science shit, but in this situation, fucking pick a more exciting argument, please.
Hey, man, that's my argument.
Well, no, I'm talking about
it wouldn't have never worked.
it's like that's not possible. It's like, that's why it's fiction. Thank you. That's
Well,
what.
I want my money back then.
You're not gonna get it back from HBO.
No.
Hell no.
Good luck with that.
Actually, I get it back every month, thanks to American Express.
Oh, wow.
I think. Oh, no, it's Walmart.
But
Never mind.
But like in all seriousness though, it's just so hard to like say who is and isn't a good person.
Right.
Like honestly in this world. Joel is, if you had to have him be like, am I the asshole question, it's like, yeah. Joel is still like, whether we agree with his decision or not, he is still an asshole no matter what. Just by the fact that he, like, him and Marlene both took away Ellie's agency.
Yeah.
Like, like we said, this whole episode just shows that Ellie never had a choice. Like, she never chose. I mean, she was never chose to be born. Like she
Yeah.
didn't get to choose to live, grow up without having, parents. She didn't, grow up asking to be immune from infection, leading her down this road to begin with. She never asked for, her and Riley to like have one of the best nights of her life just to end it having, an infected like bite both of them, end up having her turn and having her have to. That's another thing that she talked about, having to kill Riley.
Mhm.
That's actually something I think that they didn't really touch upon in the game, is that Ellie's saying that she had to be the one to kill Riley.
hmm
I think for me, up to this point, I always assumed like, group of Fireflies would come in and like do it. But like all the major moments in Ellie's life are almost all out of her control.
Yeah.
And something I think they've been building up in this entire season really well is that Ellie goes from, she still has like her childlike side where she's like kind of getting to explore things for the first time. And then it's up until the point where you see Sam and Henry, where she starts kind of buying into like, oh, I could like be the cure. I could be the one that saves humanity
hmm
through
Mhm.
my, immunity. And then even at the crux of like the episode where, after the giraffe scene where it's like Joel gives Ellie one more chance to be like, hey, we could just fuck off right now and go back to Tommy's. We could forget this whole thing ever happened. And she's like, no, after all we've been through,
Right. Well,
if
that's
Yeah.
totally right.
like this is her decision. It's like, hey, I want to see this to the end, and I want to like, if I can be a cure for humanity, I'm gonna do it. And then to have that choice, taken from her by Joel, the one person that means the most to her, and she means the most to him, and to straight up lie to her face, and she knows it. You know,
hmm
it's rough. It's That's what makes his story so good, because it's just like, God, the storytelling and the stakes are always
A
so
lot is fun.
high. And then part two, which we can't talk about.
Sorry.
It's
Okay.
all right.
Dude.
It's
We'll
all
find
right.
out in 2 years.
You'll see soon enough, as soon as you finish Uncharted.
Almost there.
And then the fucking wild times begin. Were you gonna stream that, or were you just gonna play on your own?
Maybe. I don't know. For sure, I have to stream Ragnarok, though. I stream God of War, so I have to stream Ragnarok.
You want to borrow a
Maybe.
PS5, Joel? I'm kidding.
No, it's okay. You're not going to let me borrow your PS5. I got your PS4. Good.
Credit. It's time to get it. It's time to get a PS5. Now they're
with
available
my
everywhere.
tax return, I was thinking about it, dog. Not gonna lie.
Oh,
I was like, I can wait. There's one game that's gonna probably push me over, but anyway,
Spider-Man
Retro
2.
thing.
Spider-Man 2 come out this year, boy.
I know that's gonna
PS5
be it.
only.
I know. Some of my other friends like, you can just wait until it's on PC. I'm like, no.
Well,
First
in
of
like
all, you need to
another
get a
year
PC
minimum.
first.
No. I'm waiting for
All right.
Spider-Man 2.
Anything
That
else?
was The Last of Us. No, that was The Last of Us.
That was it. That was the finale.
The finale.
And
What a
we've
finale.
been on this ride, and it's been good.
Guys, we
So
finished our first series.
I don't think we've ever like ranked something, because I don't think we ever like really went with a ranking. So guys,
Okay.
let's just do it. Season 1, Last of Us. Marcelo, what would you give this season?
I
Overall?
would give this 9 cordyceps out of 10.
Oh, doing a little dance.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that would be good.
All right. Joel, how about you?
9.5 out of 10.
9.5.
9.5, baby.
9.5.
All right, Brian. What about you? What would you give this?
I think 9's good.
9's solid, right?
9's
It's
a
like
solid number.
it was almost perfect.
Which I
It
think is
was
all we can ask for,
oh, 100%.
adaptations
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Almost perfect is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because giving it a 10, yeah, I'm like at a 9, 9.5, 9.37, something like that. I don't know. I'm up there. It's up there though. Definitely
It's
one of my
up
favorite
there.
pieces of TV.
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
They already announced that they are making a Blu-ray, and you better fucking believe I'm buying that shit when it comes out.
Steelbook art looks great.
Oh, there's a
Wait,
Wait, they
steelbook
have a
art?
still-
steelbook?
Dude, yes, they
Hold
do.
the
At least I
fuck-
think so. Or maybe it's just cover art. Either cover art or steelbook art. It looks pretty dope. That's
We'll
all I
have to
gotta
look
say.
at it
Hold on.
offline.
No, I'm looking at it right now.
He's not waiting.
I'm not waiting at all.
Okay.
Closing thought, though. I just want to say I asked this to my family too because they didn't play the game at all. They're like, it's based on a game. I'm like, yes, it is.
Your family didn't play video games?
Right? No, it was Super Nintendo, and that was it. Ask them, did Joel make the right choice? And their answers were, well, my sister said she goes back and forth, but my mom was saying, and my dad agreed, he made the right choice for Ellie. We were talking about how he took choices away. So, did he though? Like,
He made the right choice
complicated,
for
right?
him.
Exactly. But complicated. You guys already said that. There's like selfish, but he still saved her at the end of the day. So, about it. I'm saying. Yeah, amazing show.
All right, well, I could find it, so we'll have to look at it later. All right. That is a wrap on The Last of Us. We'll have to wait until season 2 comes out. But of course, we got more stuff coming up. Mando's back. We got the Bad Batch. We
Yep.
haven't really talked about yet.
Yeah.
But of
I've picked up Bad Batch again, guys. I'm trying to
Oh.
catch up. I've picked up where I left off on season 1, and we'll see how it goes.
Awesome.
I've also started a couple other shows that we can talk about that I've really been enjoying. So that'll have to be for next time, I guess.
And
Yeah.
also Lightfall. We need to talk about Lightfall.
Oh, we haven't
know.
talked about Destiny.
we haven't had a normal podcast in so long, so it'll be nice to get back to that rhythm again for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But of course, this has been United We Nerd Reviews, The Last of Us. Season 1 is a wrap. Of course, if you haven't, you can go back and watch our other reviews for the episodes on YouTube and, of course, on podcast services. And, of course, Mando's coming. Bad Batch is coming. Super Mario Brothers movie is just around the corner. And, of course, we're going to be doing a review for that, along with many other things. But, of course, that's for next time. And for now, we thank you guys for hanging out with us. What you think about The Last of Us, let us know in whether comments on YouTube or on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, I guess, and Facebook. But yes, this has been United We Nerd Reviews, and we'll see you next time. Keep on nerding, everybody.